Staff Ricardo Visaya. Ayun po, spotted na rin po natin dito sa ating stage. Nandito na rin po ang tatlong dating Pangulo ng Pilipinas na sina Fidel V. Ramos, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo at Joseph Ejercito Estrada. Isinabay ni Visaya ang kanyang formal na pagretiro araw bago ang kanyang kaarawan, bukas Disyembre 8. Si Visaya ay ang ika-47 Chief of Staff ng Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas o ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. Nag-isang Battalion Commander ng 69th Infantry Battalion sa Central Luzon at ng CMO Battalion dito po sa Metro Manila. Kabatch ni Visaya sa Philippine Military Academy ang papalit sa kanya na si General Eduardo Año. Sila ay parehong mga miyembro ng PMA Matikas Class of 1983. So ayan po, tunghayan na po natin ang pagsisimula ng Change of Command Ceremony at ng Retirement Ceremony ni General Ricardo Visaya dito. Okay. Ayan po, kinakamayan na po ni Pangulo Rodrigo Duterte si dating President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Patuloy ko lang po yung background ni Visaya. Kabatch ni Visaya sa Philippine Military Academy ang papalit sa kanya na si General Eduardo Año. Nakilala naman po si Año bilang isang veteranong intelligence officer ng Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas. Sa katunayan, naatasan rin si Año bilang Chief of Intelligence Service ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. Bago nito, siya rin ay nagsilbing commander ng Davao-based 10th Infantry Division. Bago maitalaga bilang AFP chief si Año, naatasan din siya bilang commanding general ng Philippine Military Academy. Ngunit sa ngayon po ay di pa malinaw o wala pang malinaw na impormasyon o pangalan kung sino ang papalit sa posisyon ni Año bilang commanding general ng Philippine Army. Ayan po, sinisimula na po ang formal na seremonya ng Change of Command Ceremony ng Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff.
In honor of the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Ricardo Visaya. Arrayed before you on the ground.
Tunghayan na po natin live ang AFP turnover ceremony and retirement ceremony ni General Ricardo Visaya.
These troops, a representation of 130,000 strong members of the armed forces, with utmost commitment and dedication, always extend their services for the Filipino nation and its people. The troop commander for this ceremony is Major General Edgar F. Gonzalez, Commander, Mechanized Infantry Division, Philippine Army.
Tanghal! Ha!
Please rise for the presentation of command and honors.
Buhay kamay. Ta! Babagamay. Ta!
Thank you. Please be seated.
Baba! Ta!
The troop commander will now present the troops for inspection.
Ginoo, handa na po ang mga sampanaw upang libutin.
The Honorary, the outgoing Chief of Staff, will inspect the troops. He will be accompanied by the military host, Lieutenant General Glorioso V. Miranda, Vice Chief of Staff, and the Troop Commander, Major General Edgar F. Gonzalez, AFP.
Great people have their legacies which are being valued and worth emulating. People of this stature are always being looked up to. Today we honor one such person who has served the military institution, the Filipino nation and its people for 3.5 decades. He has been an admirable person whose leadership and commitment is something to aspire for all of us in the service. General Ricardo Ramuran Visaya. His remarkable performance is evidence of his boundless dedication to the twofold challenge of winning the peace and bringing forth service excellence in the armed forces.
As the top man in the military hierarchy, these words reverberate. Let us instill in ourselves the desire to excel in leading men and the will to win in every battle. His tour of duty was an exceptionally crucial moment. With the new leadership of President Rodrigo Duterte, peace, security, and stability directives have been revitalized. The significant changes at the higher chain of command led to corresponding changes at the strategic level, with adjustments in accordance with new guidance.
At the Armed Forces of the Philippines level, the period of General Visaya's ascendancy to the AFP top leadership was also a milestone as the organization was including its 6-year campaign plan, internal peace and security plan Bayanihan, a sharp deviation from the operations intensive previous plans with its framework of winning the peace. As it culminates this chapter of outstanding accomplishments that enable the armed forces to engage stakeholder partners in the work for peace, the AFP during this period of General Visaya's leadership was also a time when it geared up for its next campaign plan 2017 to 2022.
Simultaneously, our honor's term coincided with the conclusion of the first base camp 2016 of the AFP Transformation Roadmap and preparations for the commencement of the second base camp 2022 in year 2017. These achieved events that transpired under the precepts of the above-mentioned circumstances warranted the AFP's fitting response well coordinated with all partner stakeholders, synchronized with other concerned government offices, and well executed in cognizance of the guidance emanating from the chain of command.
As the term of the leadership of the incumbent Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, comes to a close, it is hoped that the collective responsive and actions of each and every personnel and unit has been able to effect the desired end goal of working for the eventual attainment of peace, security, and stability of this country for our people. For General Visaya's message to the gallant men and women of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and I quote, "We are on our way towards transforming into a professional and capable armed force. The gains we have achieved through our journey towards transformation should be sustained and pursued relentlessly. It is up to us to sustain this legacy by continuing to be committed, accountable, and professional men and women of the Armed Forces of the Philippines."
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the honoree, the 47th Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Ricardo Ramurang Visaya.
In a short while, we'll have the presentation of award to the outgoing Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Ang taong pararangalan at ang watawat, humarap at pumagitna. Cut!
Awards and decorations are significant confirmation of gallant acts, display of skills, competence, and excellence. The presentation of award is a kind of recognition for the outstanding performance, especially in the military service.
Pasulong. Cut!
The award to be given is the Philippine Legion of Honor, degree of Chief Commander. This award is being presented to the officers of the Armed Forces of the Philippines for meritorious and exceptional service rendered to the country and the Filipino people.
The honoree is requested to join the color detail on the ground.
Matasda. Ho! Mahal na Pangulo, ang taong pararangalan at ang watawat ay narito na po. Tanghal! Ha!
Please rise for the honors to the nation.
Hugay kamay. Ha! Baba. Ha!
Please be seated.
Baba! Ha!
The honoree, the outgoing Chief of Staff Armed Forces of the Philippines, is requested to come up the grandstand.
We would like to request the Deputy Chief of the Presidential Protocol, Mr. Robert Eric Borge, for the reading of the Presidential Salutation.
The citation reads, Malacanang Palace, be it known to all men by these presents, that I, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, President of the Philippines, by virtue of the powers vested in me by law, for meritorious performance of duties as Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines from 01 July 2016 to 8 December 2016, for leadership marked by utmost professionalism that set key directions in the formulation, development, and implementation of national defense programs in the 4 mission areas of territorial defense, security and stability, humanitarian assistance and disaster response, international defense and security engagement and peace operations, and force-level command and control, support and training. For committed resolve in carrying out the ISO campaign plan, heeding the Commander-in-Chief's directive of intensifying offensive operations against the Abu Sayyaf Group, or ASG, and its allied terrorist groups, supporting the pursuit of peace negotiations and conflict resolution, and ending the permeation of illegal drugs in the country. For determined implementation of the Internal Peace and Security Plan Bayanihan, resulting in the transformation of Compostela Valley, Quezon Province, and Occidental Mindoro into conflict manageable and ready for further development areas. For bolstered efforts to transform and modernize the armed forces of the Philippines through the steadfast practice of good governance principles, and for upholding the highest standards of service, have caused to be inscribed in the roster of the Philippine Legion of Honor the name of General Ricardo R. Visaya, Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, with the rank of Chief of Commander or Punong Comandante, done in the city of Manila, the 7th day of December, in the year of our Lord, 2016.
We would like to request Mrs. Visaya, ma'am, to join your husband and assist as he receives the award. The President of the Republic of the Philippines is requested to stand to present the award, to be assisted by Secretary Delphine N. Lorenzana of National Defense.
Ang watawat, sumalunan. Kad!
We shall now proceed with the change of command ceremony.
Please rise for the invocation to be officiated by the Most Reverend Leopoldo S. Tumulak, Doctor of Divinity, Military Bishop, Military Ordinariate of the Philippines.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, all-knowing God, you see all our thoughts and our hearts our words and our actions. Nothing can be hidden from your eyes. And the good things that you see done, you give reward without fail, but in your own way and measure. Generous God, you have seen the many good things our outgoing Chief of Staff, General Ricardo R. Bisaya, has done with dedication in the exercise of his duties and responsibilities as he led and united his officers and soldiers in protecting the people and in keeping peace for the country. He set himself as an example of courage and dedication to emulate. As you might have been certainly pleased by his fidelity to his duty, may you reward him the joy of being a full-time husband of Mildred, his wife, and full-time father of Melvin, Bichi, Maricar, and Raymond. May you pour out on him and his family your fatherly blessings of love and unity. Provident God, we thank you for blessing and providing us with a new Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Eduardo M. Anyo, whose dedicated performance of responsibilities and commitment to duty and fidelity to country have earned him the appointment to the highest position of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, next to the Commander-in-Chief. May you grant him the gift of continual consciousness and awareness that as Chief of Staff he leads, and as soldiers he models for all armed forces of the Philippines men and women in uniform, in unselfishly offering one's life for the country. Father God, bless doubly our President and Commander-in-Chief, President Rodrigo R. Duterte, as he pursues with determination to lessen, if not to end, the problems of corruption, drugs, and poverty in our country. May you always keep him conscious and aware of your fatherly company as he keeps us conscious and aware of his fatherly watch over the Filipino people. And may you always keep him fit, physically and spiritually. All this we ask through Jesus Christ, your Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Most Reverend Tumula. Please be seated.
The Adjutant General, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Brigadier General Roel N. Sorilla, will read the relief and designation orders.
General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City. General Orders Number 1462, published on 07 December 2016. Paragraph 1, Section 1. Designation of General Ricardo R. Visaya, Officer-8773, as Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, is terminated effective 07 December 2016. Paragraph 2, Section 2. Lieutenant General Eduardo M. Anyo, Officer-8678, is designated as Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, effective 07 December 2016. By command of General Visaya, Official Salvador Melchor Bimison Jr., Lieutenant General, Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Deputy Chief of Staff. Signed, Roel N. Sorilla, Brigadier General, Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Adjutant General.
The outgoing Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Ricardo R. Visaya, will read and sign the order for his relinquishment of command.
Office of the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City, 07 December 2016. Office Orders Number 2016, relinquishment. I hereby relinquish the duties and responsibilities as Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, effective this date, and I sign in your presence.
The outgoing Chief of Staff will order the AFP Sergeant Major, First Chief Master Sergeant Romeo H. Handugan, to hold down his personal flag.
Command Sergeant Major.
Yes, sir.
Please lower my personal flag.
Yes, sir.
The personal flag of someone in authority represents a distinguishing mark of influence. On this occasion of the AFP's change of command, the lowering of the personal flag of the outgoing Chief of Staff Armed Forces of the Philippines signifies handing over of the responsibilities attached to his position. On the other hand, this denotes the end of a brilliant and dynamic military career.
The encased personal flag of the outgoing Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, will now be presented by the AFP Sergeant Major.
I am now ready to be released.
The incoming Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Lieutenant General Eduardo M. Año, AFP, will read and sign the order for his assumption of command.
General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Office of the Chief of Staff, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City. Office number 2116, dated 07 December 2016. Pursuant to Section 2, General Orders number 1462, General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, dated 07 December 2016. I hereby assume the duties and responsibilities as Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, effective this date, and I sign in your presence.
We shall now witness the handover of the command symbol to be presided by President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Saber is a representation of trustworthiness and steadfastness. This represents responsibility. Saber is associated with military leadership and warfare.
The new Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Lieutenant General Eduardo M. Año, will now give his first order to raise his personal flag. He will also give his remarks.
Command Sergeant Major.
Yes, sir.
Please raise my personal flag.
Yes, sir.
The personal flag is a distinct symbol of authority that signifies that someone is in charge.
With the indulgence of our Commander-in-Chief, may I request the troops to be in parade dress, sir? General Gonzalez, please give the troops tikas pahinga.
Tikas! Ha! No, tikas.
President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Former President Fidel V. Ramos, and also a former Chief of Staff, AFP. Former President Joseph Ejercito Estrada, and now Mayor of Manila. Former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and now Congresswoman of Pampanga. Secretary of National Defense, Secretary Delphin N. Lorenzana and Mrs. Edita Lorenzana. General Ricardo R. Bisaya, the former Chief of Staff, AFP, and his wife Mildred, and their children Melvin, Vichy Maricar, and Raymond. Most Reverend Bishop Leopoldo Tumulak, the Military Bishop and Military Ordinariate of the Philippines. My wife, Jean, and my children, Edwin Jr., Edward and Janelle Marie, daughters-in-law, Anna and Tina, and grandchildren, Sander and Carrie, and my mother, Juliana. The members of the Diplomatic Corps, His Excellency Jonathan Binti Abdul Wahab of Brunei, His Excellency Xiao Xinhua of China, His Excellency Massimo Rosigno of Italy, His Excellency Gianni Lumintang of Indonesia, His Excellency Dato Razlan Abdul bin Rashid of Malaysia, His Excellency Jaisin Kim of Korea, His Excellency Luis Antonio Calvo Castaño of Spain, and His Excellency Sung E. Kim of USA. The members of the House of Representatives, Honorable Aurelio Gonzalez Jr., Honorable Manuel Jose Dalipe, Honorable Johnny T. Pimentel, Honorable Jericho Jonas Nograles, Honorable C. Frederick Calusos, Honorable Henry S. Waminal, Honorable Henry Ong, Honorable Melencio Yap Jr., Honorable Anicito Bertis III, Honorable Baby Pizarro, Honorable Harry Roque, and Honorable Eugene De Vera. Special Assistant to the President, Christopher Lawrence Go. Secretary Hermogenes Esperon Jr., the National Security Advisor and also a former Chief of Staff, AFP. Secretary Artur Dabaquero, Presidential Advisor on Military Affairs. Yusek Ferdinand Cui Jr., the Head of Presidential Management Staff. And Director General Alex Monteagudo, Director of NICA. Former Chiefs of Staff of the AAP, Yusek Manuel T. Bautista, the Executive Director of the Cabinet Cluster on Security, Peace, and Justice. Ambassador Alexander Llano, Ambassador Benjamin Defensor Jr., Yusek Ricardo David Jr., General Victor Ibrado, and General Hernando DCA Iriberi and Mrs. Agnes Iriberi. Lieutenant General Glorioso B. Miranda, Vice Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and Mrs. Caroline Miranda. Lieutenant General Salvador Melchor Mison Jr., the Deputy Chief of Staff, AFP. Police Director General Roland M. De La Rosa, the Chief of the Philippine National Police. Commodore Atelo Ibanez, the Deputy Commandant of the Philippine Coast Guard. We have our Major Service Commanders, Lieutenant General Edgar Alpal Urina, the Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, and wife Erica and his staff, and other generals and key officers of the Philippine Air Force. Vice Admiral Ronald Joseph Mercado, the Flag Officer in Command, Philippine Navy, and wife Emily and his staff, and other flag officers and generals and key officers of the Philippine Navy, and generals, key officers, and other staff of the Philippine Army. Lieutenant General and Mrs. Romeo Tanalgo, Commander, Northern Luzon Command. Lieutenant General and Mrs. Ray Leonardo Guerrero, Commander, Eastern Mindanao Command. Lieutenant General and Mrs. Ferdinand Quidilla, Commander, Southern Luzon Command. Lieutenant General and Mrs. Mayralgo de la Cruz, Commander, Western Mindanao Command. Lieutenant General and Mrs. Raul del Rosario, Commander, Western Command. Major General and Mrs. Oscar T. Lactao, Commander, Central Command. Brigadier General Roberto Dominguez Jr., Commander of the Joint Task Force NCR. Members of the Joint Personnel and Special Staff, and commanders and chiefs of AFP-wide support and separate units and their ladies. Members of the PMA Maticas class of 1983, may I request for the members of class 83 to stand up. And also the lovely ladies of PMA Maticas class of 1983. My distinguished personal friends, I will no longer mention your name. You know who you are. But may I recognize my classmates in high school from Doña Aurora High School. Please stand up. Other generals, flag officers, and their ladies, other senior officers present, our enlisted personnel, led by the AFP Command Sergeant Major, First Chief Master Sergeant Romeo Handugan, and the civilian employees of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Colonel and Mrs. Ernest Lee, the Chief JUSMAG Philippines, and other members of the Foreign Armed Forces Attaché and ladies. Our friends from the Multi-Sector Governance Council, AFP Financial Institutions, and Hero Foundation. Other government officials present, fellow soldiers, both active and retired, AFP Officers Ladies Club, friends of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, our friends from the media, led by the National Press Club of the Philippines, President Mr. Paul Gutierrez. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Indeed, God has a bigger plan for me than I have for myself. For it is truly by the grace of the Almighty that I have been considered and chosen as the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. To serve and lead every soldier, sailor, airman, and marine in this capacity, I am humbled. I am but a soldier just like you, a public servant, dreaming of the greater things of for the military organization and a better nation. To all of you, I dedicate my term. Certainly, the position is daunting, as it is truly a great honor and an enormous responsibility. I thank President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, sir, and our Secretary of National Defense, Delpin Lorenzana, for the trust and confidence bestowed on me to lead the armed forces of the Philippines. I accept the challenge. I will ensure the competent performance of the AFP's mandate. The attainment of this, I will give my all. To my predecessors, the former chiefs of staff, who have all laid the foundation and brought the AFP to where it is today, and to the outgoing Chief of Staff, General Ricardo R. Bisaya, thank you for your service to our country. I will build upon the momentum of your success to bring about the transformation and positive change in the AFP. Ang ating bayan ay nangangarap ng pagbabago. Bilang inyong AFP, kaisa at kasama nyo kami sa pagtupad ng pangarap na ito. Ang magkaroon ng kapayapaan para sa makahulugang pagbabago upang ating makamit ang antas ng isang tunay na matatag na republika. May natatanging lakas, sapat na kakayahan at sariling paninindigan. But to effect change, change must start within us. As your AFP chief, I will lead our transformation with fervor to realize our vision of a strong, modern, and credible armed forces, a source of national pride of the Filipino people. We are mandated to protect our sovereignty and integrity of our national territory. I am determined to lead the AFP in this endeavor by pushing forward the parallel and complementing modernization of our internal security and territorial defense capabilities, thereby establishing a credible defense posture. Unity is always determinant of organizational success. Thus, we shall enhance the interoperability of the major services towards effective and efficient joint operations. We shall breathe new life into research and development through a viable self-reliance development program supported by advanced military technologies from our allies and other countries. Strong, modern, and credible, your AFP shall be the relentless force ensuring that the Philippine flag is the only flag waving and flying across our land, air, and seas. While we have been trained to fight, let us never forget as an organization that our fight will always be the fight for peace for every Filipino. For the AFP is committed, as it has always been, to support the government's initiative for a peaceful resolution to all ideologically based armed conflicts. But even as we uphold and respect the primacy of peace, make no mistake about it, we shall remain to be a lethal force capable of destroying any threat to our nation, for we will not let our people cower in the face of lawlessness and terrorism. As your AFP, we will be unwavering and unfaltering in our pursuit of neutralizing every element that desires to inflict fear and harm to innocent citizens. With the guidance of our Commander-in-Chief, I shall lead the AFP in the sustainment of focused military operations against the Abu Sayyaf group, the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, and other local and foreign terrorist groups like the Mauti Group. We shall also enhance our international defense engagements to effectively address security issues such as cross-border threats of terrorism and ultimately to maintain peace and stability in the region. In line with the President's call to protect the future generations of Filipinos, the AFP shall extend all necessary military capabilities to support the lead of the Philippine National Police and other law enforcement agencies in bringing down drug syndicates and in eradicating illegal drugs. Likewise, we shall remain committed to support the national development programs to include environmental protection and preservation of our natural resources. Peace and development are two mutually dependent concepts. As such, we will contribute our efforts towards the attainment of the vision clearly set in Ambition Natin 2040, which aspires to foster inclusive growth across all sectors of society through the convergence of security, developmental, and governance strategies. We will continue on improving our humanitarian assistance and disaster response capabilities by enhancing our interoperability and interagency coordination. We will be able to strengthen community resiliency and be of better service to our fellow Filipinos during calamities and disasters. At tulad na rin ng sinabi ng ating Commander-in-Chief, hindi niya tayo iiwan at hindi niya tayo pababayaan. We shall make extra effort to take care of the welfare and skills development of our troops, keeping in mind that they are the present, the future, and the backbone of the military institution. We shall endeavor to improve our troops' operational readiness to give our soldiers a better fighting edge and higher survivability, to have our heroes going home to their respective families, back to their loved ones, alive and unscathed. At this point, I would also like to acknowledge the families of every Filipino soldier and the entire Filipino community. Thank you for being the driving force behind our fighting troops. Thank you for your daily sacrifices, for your prayers, and for constantly standing strong with us. Know that your welfare is also of our great concern, for a united family, a united community creates a stronger AFP. To my family, my wife Jean and our children, JC, Jonelle, Edward, and EJ, my constant source of inspiration, your unconditional love and sacrifices have absolutely carried me through life's various challenges. And as I take on the gargantuan task of being the Chief of Staff AFP, I shall need all the more your support and understanding. Thank you for being the fountain of my strength and motivation. To my fellow soldiers, sailors, airmen, and marines, I am but a simple soldier for our flag and our country, just like you. As patriots, let us work together and be the model of unity. For it is only through our collective efforts as Team AFP that we will be able to achieve victory in every battle and effect true and lasting change, united as a professional organization that will uphold and defend the Constitution at all times. Together, as one solid Team AFP, we can build a strong, modern, and credible armed forces of the Philippines. Let the AFP be a symbol of hope and the bearers of peace. Once again, to our beloved President Rodrigo Duterte, thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity to lead the armed forces. Makakaasa po kayo sa aking tapat na pagsiservisyo. To General Ricardo Bisaya, thank you and congratulations for a job well done. You have devoted a lifetime of selfless service to our country and people, leaving behind a legacy of excellence and professionalism worthy of emulation. I wish all the best for you and your family. To our people, your taxes do pay for the salaries of the soldiers of the Republic, but keep in mind that their courage knows no measure, their sacrifice priceless. To everyone, let us face the future with confidence and optimism. And as the renowned Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew once said, and I quote, "A nation is great not by its size alone. It is the will, the cohesion, the stamina, the discipline of the people, and the quality of their leaders will ensure it an honorable place in history," unquote. Kasama ng dasal sa Panginoon, sama-sama nating ipaglaban ang tunay na kapayapaan at kaunlaran. By the grace of the Lord God Almighty, the source of all blessings, everything is possible, and unto Him I give back the glory and honor. Mabuhay ang sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas at mabuhay ang ating Republika.
Pinuno.
Thank you very much to the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Lieutenant General Eduardo Manahan Anyo.
Mga sampanaw! Ha!
We shall move on to the retirement ceremony of General Ricardo Ramuran Visaya.
General Visaya, sir, please stand and step forward as the Adjutant General Armed Forces of the Philippines reads the retirement order.
Republic of the Philippines, Department of National Defense, General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City. General Orders Number 938, published on 06 September 2016. Compulsory retirement. Pursuant to Sections 5A and 17 of Presidential Decree Number 1638, as amended, and in consonance with Presidential Administrative Order Number 150, dated 04 January 1990. General Ricardo R. Visaya, Officer-8773, Armed Forces of the Philippines, having completed 37 years, 8 months, and 7 days of active military service in the Armed Forces of the Philippines from 01 April 1979 to 07 December 2016, is compulsorily retired in the rank of General, with retirement pay based on the salary grade of General, with 5th longevity pay effective 08 December 2016. By order of the Secretary of National Defense, Official Ricardo R. Visaya, General, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Chief of Staff, signed, Roel N. Sorilla, Brigadier General, Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Adjutant General.
We would like to request our honoree to remain standing in front for the awarding. We shall proceed with the presentation of the command plaque, the plaque of honorable service, encased Philippine flag, and the frame medals to General Ricardo Visaya. The President is requested for the presentation of plaques and other mementos to our honoree to be assisted by the Secretary of National Defense. Command plaque is hereby presented to General Ricardo Ramuran Visaya, Officer-8773, Armed Forces of the Philippines, in grateful acknowledgement of his eminently meritorious and valuable service rendered as Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines from 01 July 2016 to 07 December 2016.
The plaque of honorable service is presented to General Ricardo R. Visaya, Officer-8773, in recognition of his 37 years, 8 months, and 7 days of faithful and honorable service to the Armed Forces of the Philippines during the period of 01 April 1979 to 07 December 2016. The symbol of aspirations and existence of men and women in the noble profession of arms, the Philippine flag. This will be presented to General Visaya.
The Philippine flag is embodiment of a great nation. This carries several symbols of which would remain General Visaya of his fruitful years of military career.
And lastly, framed medals is presented, which contains all the awards and decorations he received during his tour of duty.
The spouse, Ms. Mildred L. Visaya, ma'am, will now be presented with the plaque of appreciation. A plaque of appreciation is presented to Ms. Mildred L. Visaya in grateful appreciation of her unselfish, faithful, and devoted support to her husband's lasting contribution and dedicated service to the Armed Forces of the Philippines and to our nation. Thank you very much to President Duterte and to the Secretary of National Defense. Let us hear the valedictory address of our honoree. Please welcome General Ricardo Ramoran Visaya.
Commander, please give the troops tikas pahinga.
Tikas! Ha! Mapinuno, tikas, pahinga.
The President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, sir. The former President, Fidel V. Ramos, sir. Former President Joseph Ejercito Estrada, sir. Former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Secretary of National Defense, Secretary Delphine Lorenzana, sir, and Mrs. Edita Lorenzana, ma'am. Lieutenant General Eduardo Año, the newly designated Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and wife Jean. Most Reverend Bishop Leopoldo Tumula, the Military Bishop and Military Ordinate of the Philippines, my wife Mildred and our children, my mother Maria Corazon Visaya, the members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the House of Representatives, officials from Malacanang, former Chiefs of Staff, AFP, Lieutenant General Gloriosa Miranda, the Vice Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and Mrs. Caroline Miranda, the Deputy Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Salvador Bison, Police Director General Ronald M. De La Rosa, Major Service Commanders, Unified Commanders, other officers, the members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. To have served as a soldier for my beloved country has been the greatest honor, and to be called upon to lead the valiant men and women of the Armed Forces of the Philippines has been an extraordinary opportunity and a once-in-a-lifetime challenge. Mr. President, it has been a singular honor and privilege to have served as the 47th Chief of Staff of the AFP under your leadership and guidance. Your words on the day of my assumption served as my marching orders, and I quote, "My job is to bring peace, but hand in hand bring order in my country," unquote. This single line has been the anchor of my command guidance, the impetus for defining the priorities and operations of the AFP under my watch. With your full support and encouragement, we have endeavored to achieve our targets and expand our capabilities. With your indulgence, sir, may I respectfully submit my tour of duty report as the 47th Chief of Staff of the AFP. Peace and security targets have been met through hard work and teamwork of the men and women of the AFP. We stayed on course and intensified our efforts to reach the culmination culmination phase of the internal peace and security plan Bayanihan and the strength of our sustained operational momentum. Utilizing focused military operation, intensified stakeholders' engagements, Bayanihan team activity, and legal cooperation, we put our heart and soul in winning the peace, not just the war. The balancing act of reaching the end goal while upholding the process has been a test of our resolve and resiliency as an organization. It is with pride that we declare that in the conduct of focused military operations, the AFP has strictly observed and adhered to human rights, international humanitarian law, and the rules of engagement. Every effort has been done to ensure that there is no collateral damage. Working with purpose and in unity with local government units and NGOs, we are pleased to report that 3 more provinces have been declared as conflict manageable and ready for further development. This brings the total to 71 provinces, with several more targeted provinces to be CMRFD by year-end. The CMRFD stamp means that insurgency has been significantly reduced, allowing local government units with the local police to lead the peace and security programs in their areas. Relatedly, the AFP has intensified our support to law enforcement operations, particularly in the campaign against illegal drugs, in order to contribute in eliminating the widespread criminality and wanton destruction of lives brought about by illegal substance abuse. Thus, investments can thrive, businesses can flourish, and public services are more accessible and more expansive. The elderly can receive better care, and the children can attend school without anxiety or threat or danger. This, after all, is what we soldiers work for, to provide a condition where every Filipino can live without fear and dream and act with hope and certainty of a better future. Aligned with the transformation vision, substantial resource allocations have fired up the AFP modernization program. We have acquired and received ships, aircraft, and weapons systems. This in turn means improved surveillance, better response to maritime incidents, and humanitarian and disaster relief operations, and eventually a more effective force presence. The energy and drive that have propelled the AFP towards major milestones are the concrete results of the AFP transformation roadmap. Just last week, the AFP was conferred institutionalized status under the performance governance system pathway. The synergy of the transformation and innovations of the major services have made the AFP's transformation even more dynamic and tangible. Transformation has been propelling our modernization efforts and our organization to greater heights. Every member of the AFP has contributed to and is committed to the goals of the AFP transformation roadmap all the way to Base Camp 2028. The foundation has been laid and enhanced, making the AFP stronger, better, and more capable. The targets have been set, and the men and women of the AFP are ready, committed, inspired. We are determined to secure the peace and reach our goals. Given all that we have done and knowing all that lies ahead, there is every reason to keep pushing so we can do more and serve better. Momentum is on our side, and with the support of our citizenry, we will prevail. The Filipinos will have a world-class armed forces. That is a source of national pride come year 2028. On that note of optimism, I take this time to recognize all those who have helped me get to this day. The words of Winston Churchill ring so true, and I quote, "We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give." So many of you have made it possible for me to give, to serve, to lead, to achieve. Looking back at more than 3 decades of military service, I recall the many acts of kindness, the voices of encouragement, the gentle push and prodding to march on and have faith. Indeed, in the words of the pioneering French deaf educator Jean-Baptiste Massieu, gratitude is the memory of the heart. My appreciation knows no bounds, especially to those who have seen me through trials and setbacks. To the Lord Almighty, the great architect of the universe, I am humbled every day by your greatness and generosity. To our President and Commander-in-Chief, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, sir, and the Secretary of National Defense, Secretary Delphine Lorenzana, I am truly grateful for your trust and confidence. To my mentors and former bosses, some of whom are here today, I will always be thankful for your patience, generosity, and wisdom. To my mistas from PMA Matikas class of 1983, I carry with me the friendship and the camaraderie which have kept me on course and softened the hard knocks of life in uniform. To the AFP Command Group, Major Service Commanders, Unified Commanders, and Joint Personnel and Special Staff, I will remember your dedication, cooperation, and professionalism, which have made my time at the helm of the AFP not only productive, but especially memorable. To all the men and women of the AFP I have worked with as a platoon leader, company, battalion, brigade, division, and unified commander, our time together in the field and on the front lines have made this journey more meaningful and truly worthwhile. To the members of the Diplomatic Corps, I appreciate the unequivocal commitment to the ideals of peace and the pursuit of a global community that works together. To our lawmakers, I thank you for the support and the commitment to formulate legislation that will ensure the sustained momentum of our capability upgrade and the improvement of the morale and welfare of our troops. To the officers, men and women of the Office of the Chief of Staff and the Office of the Secretary Joint Staff, I am truly grateful for the selfless dedication and discipline that have made my tour of duty as productive as possible. To the many acquaintances I made along the way, my Mason brothers, colleagues from the Banahaw Golf Club, classmates from BNCHS, thank you for the friendship. And finally, with special emphasis to my wife, my best friend, my heaven, Mildred, please stand up. I could not have come this far without your gentle understanding and your generous support. And to my mother, Corazon Visaya, my children, Melvin and his Chana, and his wife Chana, and their son Owen, Vichy, and Raymond, for inspiring me with your love. You are my anchor, my guiding lights. I love you all. As I went around the different units and camps to express my thanks and bid the troops farewell, the line from Ecclesiastes 3:1 put everything in perspective. Indeed, for everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. My retirement is part of the ebb and flow of life in the military. Many have bowed out of the service at the designated time. Many more will follow in my steps. Through it all, ours has been the task of leading and paving the way for the future. I leave the service knowing that the AFP is strong, that the officers are exemplary, and that the troops are undaunted. As I stand before you today, my heart is bursting at the seams. Having been entrusted to lead the AFP is one of my life's greatest moments. It has been a privilege to have served our armed forces together with many of you for close to 4 decades. I entered the noble profession of arms with a dream to be an instrument of change. This dream became my purpose, and I know that I have served my purpose, that I have lived the dream. I live the service that has been my life for more than 3 decades with a heavy heart, but contented heart, and with an optimistic spirit, as I know that the AFP that I have served and led is primed for the future, transforming and innovating, conquering challenges and harnessing change. It is an armed forces with a purpose, a clear way ahead, and a theme of gentlemen, brave and true. Thus, my season of military service ends, and my time to bid farewell is now. I leave with these words from 2 Timothy 4:7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Mabuhay at maraming salamat po.
Thank you, General Visayas, sir.
Mga sampanaw! Ha!
The guest of honor will be introduced by the Secretary of National Defense, Secretary Delphine N. Lorenzana.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Kindly sit now. Thank you. President Fidel Ramos, President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, President Joseph Estrada, Secretary Delphine Lorenzana, Lieutenant General Eduardo Anyo, General Ricardo Visaya, Bishop Leopoldo Tumulak, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Major Service Commanders, men and women of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, fellow workers in government, my beloved countrymen. Let me just, it's raining and I'll make it short. Let me just give you a narrative of how I do things. Commander, could you give the tikas pahinga?
Tikas! Ha!
Of the many things I promised the people of this nation, one was that I would not tinker with the armed forces of the Philippines in the matter of promotion and assignments. I gave the same statement for the PNP. But you know, as it turned out, after I assumed office, that the PNP was a fractured organization. And that I realized that there were so many men and officers involved in the drug industry. So I had to take the bull by the horn. I did not tinker, I said, as I promised, with the armed forces. The recent promotions and all others were the product of the Board of Generals and the recommendation of your head of department. I never asked or whispered to anybody who, for what, and for whom. I kept my promise to the armed forces of the Philippines, and it will remain to be so until the end of my term. Hindi ako makikialam. As I have said, your Board of Generals, na itong sa police, I was really appalled. I knew the seriousness of the problem, how the drug industry was blooming into something very, very serious. But I did not have enough wherewithal to make the proper evaluation. And it was only when I became president that I was really horrified, appalled by the number of Filipinos already hit by the contamination of Shabu.
I remember very well the report of General Santiago of the PIDEA before, and he gave the number something like 92% of the total barangays of the Philippines were already affected, and that he gave the number of 2 to 3 million addicts already papasyal dyan sa atin, mixing it up with us. And I would place it at a very conservative statement as evaluation of something like 1 million to 8 to 5. So the incremental increase over the years until I became president, palagay na lang natin, add a level but mga 200. But in my time, when I issued the warning to everybody, you saw our countrymen lining up in front of barangay halls, going to the barangay captains, surrendering in the hundreds of thousands. Kaya ako sabi ko, ako na mismo ang hahawak nito. Kasi kung ibigay mo lang ng secretariat or left alone with due respect, no offense intended, and I have give you the report, and it is distinct, and it has in it something like a deadly mix of drug lords, pushers on the street, barangay captains, policemen, municipal mayors, governors, judges, and prosecutors. And why? Why did I give a copy of that thick folder to the Senate President? Why did I give that copy, or furnish a copy to the Speaker of the House? And I was looking at it, pondering, after a review and a review, re-evaluation, and revalidated and revalidated. That is why it took us this long, because it is not easy to place a name in that list, or you should have destroyed his career forever. So kaya ganun katagal ang review ng review, revalidate, revalidate again, revalidate. And there are names of my friends, politicians and all, mga police, mga prosecutors, mga judges. So I don't know if if it's proper me to be saying it in public, but I sent also one thick folder to the Supreme Court, and I just wrote it, for whatever it may be worth to you. Hindi ko kaya to. And even sabihin nila, totoo yan, sinasabi na attributable to me all, na pinapatay ko, binabaril ko, lahat na. Kung ginusto ko man, mawalaan ako, maubusan ako ng bala, pati panahon. That's what I told the Speaker and the Senate President and a few members of Congress. What shall I do with this? Just to build a case, you would need about 3 to 4 policemen working out 24 hours just to get the desired proof for a successful operation. But some of them are in the police. Some of them are in the... How do you build a case against a judge? You just go by the records that with so many hearings in his court, there was not a single conviction of a drug case. So that alone is not enough. I would say that I cannot secure a conviction. Remember that we follow the democratic presumption of innocence until proven otherwise. Now, I'd like to tell you, I don't know about the others, but in my experience for 8 years as a trial prosecutor, it's always a proposition of 30% in favor of conviction, 70% in favor of acquittal. Because all that he has to do, the convict or whatever, the accused, will just create a little doubt and it cannot be proved beyond reasonable doubt. Mahirapan ako, kaya sinasabi ko lang. I ought to take full control of the fight against drugs because this is not just an ordinary police case. The drug lords declared war against our country, targeting the youths of the land. And that was, I was forced to say, do not destroy the next generation and deprive us of our sons and daughters' happiness. Kasi papatayin ko talaga kayo. And I said, wag ninyong gawain yan. Kasi bayan ko yan. Actually, the drugs is a war now going on. Thus, wither down a lot. But until the last day of my term, until the last pusher is out of the street, until the drug lord, the big ones, are killed, the policy will remain. Do not destroy my country. And that is why I repeat my orders. And that's the reason why I declared a state of lawlessness, so that I can call upon you, the armed forces, to help the civilian sector, to help the police. Di nila kaya to. At ang police mo, the policeman, the very ones who would be preventing the crimes, solving the crimes, arresting the criminals, are themselves into it. Now, nandyan may kopya kayo. I think I was warned to the Chief of Staff. Pasahin ninyo if you have time. And find out if the next guy beside you is there in that list. Talagang it's about 4,500 plus. Remember that they are spread all throughout the country. And addiction is really a monkey on your back. And they say, and it is true, the forensics say, and the doctors and the asylums and the drug rehabilitations would tell you that there's a certain point of the use of constant use of drugs will shrink the brain of a person. Once the brain has shrunk, rehab is no longer possible. So how many of the 4 millions? Kasi yung 1 million di ko binigay. Wala akong input sa panahon ko. Those were the guys you saw on TV surrendering. I'm still counting because I'm nearing the 800 mark. By the end of the year, I am sure I would have breached 1 million. Idagdag ko yan sa kay Santiago. And you know that I entered into the service almost mid-term. Half of the year, June. I am operating on a budget that was prepared by my predecessor. When I came in, what was left was just for MOOE, maintenance and operations. So even if there was a lot of criticism at binubullshit ako, at bakit ko raw hindi i-rehab, yung nahuli lahat yun, hindi magkasya yun. So in the meantime, I was just pleading to the barangay captains to just take care of them in the meantime. Now, a good soul from China, a philanthropist, built us in Fort Magsaysay a 10 million facility, a 10,000 rather facility. And they promised to build another one somewhere in the Visayas and Mindanao. But sabi ko, hindi na ako pumilit kasi nahiya na ako. But the next budget, my budget that I prepared now, was something for this kind of, at lahat. At kayo, lahat ng hiningi ni Secretary Lorenzana, binigay ko. Lahat, wala akong hinindihan. And I would not want to, baka ayaw ko yung para bang makakaroon ka pa ng utang ng loob, pera naman ng tao yan. But lahat na kailangan ninyo, pati ospital ninyo. And as a matter of fact, I abandon the use of the presidential plane. Turn it over, and you can use it. You have a new MRI, a CT scan, and everything, a barrack, which can really control gangrene. If you are extracted too late, maybe if you are flown to the AFP, I'm supposed that the barrack machine is with that. It can catch up with the contamination of the gangrene. Nandyan lahat binigay ko na sa inyo. Wala akong hinindian, pati armas. The ones that we ordered were stopped by the complaint of a congressman or senator in the U.S. which said that our issues are against human. No. Bihin ko sa inyo. Go out and hunt for them. Look for them kasi pati ang droga. Masisira ang bayan natin kung tamad-tamaran tayo. Ang mga bata hindi na makalabas. Sa Maynila, hold up dito, hold up doon. At hilain lang kung magsakay ng tricycle dyan in an old garage or there's a facility that's not being used. Doon din nadala mga babaeng umuwi sa gabi, pinapatay mga nurse. This cannot be the kind of life for us. And why should we be afraid to destroy the forces that would make us grow in fear? Bakit matakot tayo? Human rights. You know, you want me bring me to fine International Criminal Court? Gladly. Gladly. And if they say that I'd go to jail, I'll rot in jail. Wala kayong problema. Itong droga na ito, if it is done that you kill the person because your life is in jeopardy, you yourself would lose not only your pants but your life. My God, shoot him. Ayoko. Philippine National Police killed in police action. Prison, 30. Wounded, 57. This is a joke. It's just a matter of reading wounded or patay. Wala nang pamilya. Kaya ako ang naging police doon sa pamilya nila. At sabi ko, yung wounded, you will be rehabilitated. I do not worry about that. Out of the 57 wounded policemen, 48. This is a health issue. It is now becoming an issue of law and order and a health issue. They need, just like the drug addicts destroyed, they need medications, they need therapy and all. Armed forces killed in action, 53. Tapos, wounded in action is 228. Do you think this is a joke? I ask the critics, why would we do extrajudicial killing? Wrap the idiot with plastic. What for? We can shoot him in the head, and that's it. This is an indication of torture. Hindi na kailangan yan. I'm addressing myself to the nation. Now, kung mga police dito na masabit, so they got mixed up with the messy job, and I would say that I would believe in the story of the police. Now here comes an NBI. Both the police and the NBI are under me. DILG and but I never interfered. And they say it's murder. Fine. That is your findings. But since the police is also doing the duty, following my order here, a direct order, I will have to defend them. Ano, sabihin nila well, I will listen to the story and I will take it as the true version. Why should I? It's just an investigation. Wala naman kayong witness dyan na nagsabi na nakita niya. Come up with something good and maybe I will have it out. But for as long as ganon ang police and they would stick to the story, and because they are under me, I should believe them. Why? Let me ask you, Filipino people. 4 million addicts of the Filipino, and you are sorry for the son of a bitch who made our children crazy by the millions. So, I and I alone, ako yan, will answer for them. And if it is in the performance of duty, that is my ultimate liability. Dito kayo. I will defend them. As a matter of fact, I'm ready to go to jail for them. Walang problema. But I will not agree to a proposal, just leave it this way, tapos masira. Remember, it's by the millions. And if I would like to remind you, in the early days, you saw on TV, because I was also viewing it, people lining almost like a zombie state. Parang kalog. Kung presidente ka, maligayahan ka niyan. Tapos, dito wala na masyado. Makauwi na sila ngayon. Now, I would like to warn again the addicts. Pabalik-balik kayo niyan eh. You pretend to surrender or give it up. But it's addiction, I know. I have a rehab. 8 out of 10 talagang mag-slide yan. Pabalik ng babalik yan. So kayong mga nasa droga, nakadroga, o yung mga pamilya ninyo, ito na lang gawin nyo. Huwag ninyong palabasin ng bahay in the meantime, or have your son or husband check, and we will gladly bring him to the Nueva Ecija. Bakante pa yun, marami pa. I will spend for the medicines and all. But in the meantime, kayong mga drogista, bantay. Dadamputin ko talaga. Do not loiter around the sidewalk. You're up to ask for money and molest it. Hindi, hingian ninyo mga tao, hold upin ninyo. Do not do that. Restricted to quarters kayo. Parang sundalo. Diyan kayo sa bahay ninyo. Mga nanay, tatay, ilak ninyo yung... Huwag ninyong palabasin. Pag maglabas yan, mag-iistorbo sa labasan. Pag magtindig na yan, damputin ko yan. Sabi na diktador, you want to oust me? Fine, go ahead. I'd be happy to leave. Pero for as long as the president of this country, I will never allow that thing to destroy. So, let us be clear on this. I'd like to congratulate General Anyo on his assumption as the Chief of Staff. I'd like to express the gratitude for on behalf of the Filipino people kay General Vizcaya for a job really very well done. And I was also malapit ako matumba sa medal niya. Ako, wala nga ni Beski isa. Ito lang itong ganito, pagdating, hindi man ito medal niya. Wala man nakasabi dito na, General Headquarters, wala man. But anyway, pati kayo. Hero, kayo lahat. Every time you go out. That is why, do not worry, this December, medyo halos doble na ang sweldo ninyo. Sinasadya ko yan talaga yan. Kayo yung nauuna eh. Sige, punta doon sa Busayap, dumugin mo. Ay, ako, tiga-order lang eh. Kaya kung tumahimik kayo dyan, walang allowance sa iyong Pasko ito. Unahin mo natin yung... But anyway, even the mere presence, evidenced by this medal, I am grateful to be present to witness the turnover. General Anyo, welcome. Sir, General Visaya, mamili ka na ng pwesto dyan, sir. Choose your position. That is how grateful the nation is to you. Mamili ka ng posisyon dyan. Gusto mo kausapin si Delpen? Okay rin yan. Salamat po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Mga sampanaw! Ta!
Please be seated.
Ayan po, nasaksihan natin ang change of command ceremony para sa bagong AFP Chief of Staff na si General Eduardo Anyo. Formal na po ang mandatory requirement ni General Ricardo Visaya
Asa! Masid!
Military Academy, Matikas Class of 1983. Pinangunahan po kanina ni AFP Commander-in-Chief Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ang change of command ceremony para sa bagong Chief of Staff ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. Ayan po, kakapasa lamang ng formal na liderato ng Armed Forces of the Philippines, muli po kay General Eduardo M. Anyo. Ayan, kasabay po ito ng retirement ni General Visaya na bukas po ay magbo-birthday na. Ayan. Kakaalis lang po ni Anyo bilang commander ng bilang commanding general ng Philippine Army. Sa ngayon po, wala pa pong ibinibigay na pangalan kung sino po yung papalit sa kanyang posisyon. Bago maging commanding general si Anyo ng Philippine Army at maging AFP Chief of Staff, pinamunuan niya ang 10th Infantry Division sa Davao o sa Eastern Mindanao. Si Anyo ay isang veteranong intelligence officer noong 1993. Kumuha siya ng mga kurso sa United States Army Intelligence Center at school sa Arizona. Nag-aral din si Anyo sa Israel Counterterrorism Center noong taong 2002.
Ladies and gentlemen, the various contingents of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Ang katunayan po, matapos manalo si Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte noong May 2016 bilang Pangulo ng Bansa, ikinonsidera niya din si Anyo bukod kay General Visaya na maging Chief of Staff ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. Si Anyo po ay eksperto sa intelligence. Sa katunayan, siya ay naging commanding chief ng intelligence ng AFP. Nangako po si General Anyo na kanyang ipapagpatuloy ang mas pinaigting na operasyon laban sa Abu Sayyaf Group sa BIFF at sa maute na iniwan ni General Ricardo Visaya. Nangako rin siya na susuportahan ng Philippine National Police sa laban ng administrasyon laban sa illegal na droga. Nangako Nangako rin si General Anyo na pagbubutihin niya ang humanitarian assistance at disaster response ng Armed Forces of the Philippines, lalo na ang Pilipinas, ay vulnerable sa mga epekto ng climate change sa pamamagitan ito ng pagpapabuti o pagpapalawak ng interoperability operations ng Armed Forces of the Philippines sa mga katuwang nitong ahensya, pati na rin sa mga counterpart nito sa ibang bansa.
Majors Arcilia, Austria, Lieutenant
Proud
Commander
umano si General Anyo na parte siya ng sinasabing new era of change sa ilalim ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, ang kanilang Commander-in-Chief. Muli po, pangako ni General Anyo, isang focused military operation laban sa Abu Sayyaf Group, BIFF at sa Maute Group.
The Army contingent, represented by the Security and Escort Battalion, is under the command of Major Jamal Bonsa, his staff, Major Desena, Captain Blanco, Captain Rane Jr., Captain Ursua. The Security and Escort Battalion is specially trained for area security and for rendering military honors to important personages and visiting dignitaries. Its soldiers likewise provide security and escort to VIPs and special guests. The Philippine Army, serving the people, securing the land.
We have now the Angels of Mercy and the Guardians of the Philippine Skies. The Air Force Battalion led by Lieutenant Colonel Pisigan, his staff, Major Salinas Ricci, Captain Kabatingan, Captain Dal, and Major Salinas.
The protectors of the Philippine seas and the first line of defense to uphold our territorial integrity, the Philippine Navy. The battalion is under Commander Galvez, his staff, Lieutenant Commander Malanao, Lieutenant Commander Ramos, Lieutenant Commander Pascua, Lieutenant Commander Simeon. The Navy secures our territorial waters and conducts sea lift operations in support of our troops, performs mercy missions, rescue and relief operations during calamities, and protects our maritime resources and environment.
The audience is requested to stand for the passing of the colors. Thank you. Please be seated. The members of the Philippine Marine Corps carry the national colors, the major service colors, and the general headquarters, as well as the mast colors representing the different major services and the AFP-wide separate and support units of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
The 2nd Brigade is commanded by Brigadier General Rolando Aco. His staff, Lieutenant Colonel Julius Pamitan, Lieutenant Colonel Yadaw, Lieutenant Colonel Tobias, Lieutenant Colonel Martires, Lieutenant Colonel Brillantes.
Following is the Army Battalion of Excellence under Lieutenant Colonel Bahed, his staff, Major Paki Dula, Major Sabangan, Captain Kulit, and Major Badaho. This Battalion of Excellence comes from the 84th Infantry Battalion. Trailing behind is the battalion from the Army Special Operations Command under Lieutenant Colonel Hove, his staff, Major Quinto, Major Sayas, Major Portem, and Major Fabros. The Special Operations Command, or SOCOM, is composed of the elite forces of the Army, the Special Forces of the Scout Rangers, and the Light Reaction. This unit specializes in unconditional warfare and small unit operations ranging from reconnaissance, intelligence, demolitions, weapons, communications, and other special operations.
Tailing behind is the Philippine Marine Corps Battalion, headed by Lieutenant Colonel Macaumbos. His staff, Majors Galyasa, Major Lucero, Major Tusi, Major Austria. A specially trained fighting unit of the Navy designed for rapid deployment, the Philippine Marines conducts amphibious and special operations in all kinds of terrain and in any weather condition. The Marines are known for their fine fighting quality, endurance, and combat effectiveness. The few, the proud, the Philippine Marines.
Following next is the battalion from the 7th Special Operation Wing, the Air Force, under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Jose Interior Jr., his staff, Major Captain Bite, Major Ulmila, Major Palasake, and Captain Casabelas. The 17th Special Operations Wing conducts the special operations for the defense of the air bases and installation of the Form Other Contingencies Operation. Train hard, fight to win. That is the 17th Special Operation Wing.
You have just seen a segment of your armed forces pass before you. They represent our brothers and sisters out there in the field, defending our freedom and independence, as well as our democratic institutions.
Makibarkada na at tumutok sa programa kung saan ang Pinoy ang laging bida. Buhay Pinoy.